What's up, everybody? Ref Show back again, another anime breakdown. Marvel Tokon just released another trailer featuring some new X-Men, some new characters that are pretty familiar. Kind of talk about the animation in general, you know, the ups, the downs, the pros and cons. But anyway, let's play this, see what it's about, and then I'll give you my feedback. All right, let's rip it. Gladiator is dead. I know that. I know that character.
The air trembles.
Earth.
Mother Earth herself senses
The storm?
battle. The world may hate us. We still have to save it.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought they like froze time for a second.
A true team is unbreakable.
Hello,
You cannot
Queen.
stand against the storm.
Oh my God, she's voiced by the same voice actress too. Okay, we know about Storm,
Let me Adam Storm.
and we got Magic.
Limbo is waiting, and I'm stuck.
I don't know much about Magic, only that I know she's Colossus' sister. That's about it. And yeah, Marvel's got all the goons. Marvel Rivals got all the goons in the headlock.
X-Men get it done.
Weapon X.
You're cooked, Bob.
Who's his voice, I wonder? Classic Wolverine, main staple.
Initiating attack.
Oh, we got Echo. Echo's in the game.
I am all that remains
I don't know
of
who this
Shi'ar
is.
technology.
Looks like kind of give me some Fifth
Prepare
Element
to be
vibes.
disassembled.
Ooh, she's a zoner. Mega
Surrender
Man.
to avoid further danger.
Damn!
Let's finish this.
It's like got some Mega Man qualities in there.
We are stronger.
I love this shot.
Together.
I love that telephoto lens of all four of them. Ooh, the hands. The switches. The anticipation. Wah! Dude. Arx is bringing the goods. Notice too, guys, one thing that I would love to glaze all over Arc is for their hand poses. They know how to splay fingers and hands. Can't see Spider-Man too much, but you know, the splaying of the hands, the taking the arc, giving it that nice round bridge shape. What most people don't know when it comes to art or making dynamic hands too is that our hands are like pretty rounded. Like there's like a tunnel. They're like cars that go under our hands, like a freaking bridge. They're not flat. You know, like that's when you're pressing stuff down and, you know, like when you're on the table and stuff like that. But the magic fingers, man, they love using those dynamic foreground, background hand poses in order to really get your kicks off. Yeah, again, like with the really nice lines that are happening with her finger poses. I think she's a class A example of what you can do with your fingers to get them very up front and center, like how you can utilize shapes, whether it comes like the curls, like having them not evened out so evenly. We've got like some nice good action poses through here too. We hold on these hit frames a lot too, so this is like an Arc staple, you know, like to kind of give that 2D to 3D blend. Animation kind of moves and it flows from A to B with the anticipation and hit poses, but also holds on some of these poses too, especially impact frames too, poor Spidey, in order to make you feel like you're hit and getting busted up so the player and the victim can read the damage, you know, everything is being communicated correctly, which I really always admired their gameplay animation too as well. Let's get into the good stuff, shall we? Yeah, so like already right off the bat, summoning her lightning abilities. This looks like maybe like just like a special attack move, but already, man, you know, like we're cutting in like with a nice dynamic angle. Tilt camera, so classic Dutch tilt. We've got her low in frame, high and mighty. Everything's at an angle, which is really interesting because looking at that, kind of like what the connection frame is, going from one step to the next. As she comes down and attacks, you know, we switch from left to right. So player's attention goes from here. You know, you're seeing the big giant ball. She brings it down into frame, and then all of a sudden our perspective changes in between those two. Yeah, and then like badass kicks and punches, all in feeling good. But yeah, the classic Arc style is like every hit that you see, we're holding on that pose for a longer bit of time. Come to think of it, this might be 30 frames a second. Most games do stretch out to 60 frames a second. Pretty much like 10 to 11 is kind of the readability amount of frames when it comes to animation. sometimes you see such quick animation, maybe like a combo goes da 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 da, and then when you watch stuff like that, you're not really noticing too much of the movements, you know, but you are feeling some of the attacks, like you're feeling some of the impacts and some of the hits. And that's all by the motion of holding a frame out for 10 seconds, right? Then Magique, she's coming in with the big swipes. Again, too, the long poses, you know, we're really utilizing, you know, those giant swipes throughout the frame too. It's interesting to see how she comes in and goes for these attacks, because like the cool thing about these swipes are like the big wind ups, and this is like classic arc tilting back and forth. You got like the big sonic boom bendies, so like the reverse D for dumb, and then C shape for like when she comes back to here as well. You know, like C for shape for coming back in here as well, like the big giant arcs that jump back and forth. Classic A pose through here too. But yeah, you hold on here for a very long time in order to indicate either tags or counters, so to speak. So these are probably more frames, probably like 30 or 20 type of speed. You know, like really fun stuff. I love how the characters really lean into it too. Right now, she's not sitting on nothing, right? You know, there's no chair in there to catch her ass when she's falling down, but we're holding into that anticipation pose till we get to that breakdown, you know. A pose, you go from your leaning pose to your A pose, stabilize your weight, and then, oh, they actually got a little bend on the sword. Interesting. So they actually are bending weapon props, which is good. And then, like, seriously, from here to here, that's your pose change. Big pose change in order to sell that hit impact. Hold, and then hold, push, hold again. So it's like, it's more kind of like a that effect, you know, which is interesting. Arcs takes a look at that and like basically wants to sell you on each part individually when it comes to hit, counter, release, like power flow, all that type of shit, which I think is really, really fun. Some like to call it transition animation or environmental, you know, animation, but this is Arc System staple as well too. You transition to another part of the level and then you're basically breaking fight line camera. So this is pretty cool. I love how they're holding into this shot. We pull in, you know, you're seeing that ramp cam. We're probably on there for about 20 frames or so to really sell impact. She's taking about like the arc of the line of the energy. It goes in waves. So wherever these bends are, that's where the energy is going from, you know, like coming from and going to. Magic coming in with the sweet pose. Man, her hand is tiny. I love the posing in here too, especially in the comic frame. I love how they're breaking the barriers too. This is so nasty. Call a doctor, please. Call a doctor, Magic. This move is so bad, it's gonna ruin my childhood, period. This transition from telephoto lens, which is like a close-up squeeze of the character. Camera moves down in order to understand where the action is going from. When there's a lot of movement happening between like one part of the body to another, and if the rest of the body is not moving, when you have this tight of a lens, it's always important to really, really sync up the camera movement with that action in order to kind of follow what the character is doing. So in this case, the camera is going past where we need to be, selling the sword coming through. She's switching her sword from left hand to right hand. Really, really nice shape language of Magic, you know, as like, you know, our eyes are taking us around the screen. You know, we're looking here, we're looking at her face. This is coming around, looking at her face too. We're looking up at her face too. That's everything that we're seeing. And in this awesome transition too, we're pushed to a dynamic pose, right? Pushed perspective. We're still looking at her face. We've got these hard angles, side profile of her body. The energy is just coming down this way, man. I fucking love it. It's so nasty, dude. Nice movements and very, very well thought out posing too as well. And then comes the star of the show. Cool, but yeah, definitely just coming in with a simplistic move, you know, like forced perspective, dolly zoom, foreground, trying to keep the character in this space as the camera is coming in. Starting out where the energy is coming in like full frame to mid frame, then the camera changes attention to this victim and keeps everything center, right? And then Wolverine comes out with his classic tornado claw too. Keep him in this pose, right? Which is very, very, it saves time on animation too. We keep him in this really cool pose. you know, this nice spiral, and then we just utilize him in frame space, you know, too, as he's coming in and out. Sorry about the qualities. At first, I didn't know that he was actually kneeling into this pose, but I think like one thing that could have like helped it a little bit more, like maybe facing more kind of like looking out that way, you know, your claws are in frame. This is my best drawing of Wolverine that I've got. It's like more of kind of like basically taking that line of action and directing it more towards where the impact of that character is, because right now it feels like he's a little bit off. The cool thing that I like about this is that they are trying to go back to the NBC Wolverine. I see what they're doing, especially in this pose right here. This is the Wolverine that I fucking love back in the 2D days, right? Specifically, they are not paying attention or obeying the rules of his claws, right? Wolverine's claws come out. They're super straight. They're super symmetric. You know, they're all evenly spaced. They look like steel, which of course that they are. However, Wolverine in 2D essence obeys no rules. They're bendy, they're stretchy, they scale. I love it. How they're implementing these claw shapes. You can see between the crevices, right? They're going into the knuckles, right? They're actually not following or flowing outside of whatever the hell these little things are. Let me take you down of a little path of action that I want you guys to take a look at. This little guy right here too. So this is the Wolverine that we all know and love from NBC. Look how nasty this is. Even when they're doing their idle pose through here, see how bendy and just kind of overlappy that they are? They don't even look like they're connected to his wrist. And his little devil boots right here are flopping in the wind. He's all bent and shit like that. He's a short king. They're trying to do that, right? They're trying to bring back this sense of NBC art. So like this is what made this character really, really fun, because you know, you basically had the squash and stretch, right? So things that make this kind of game and this kind of art really special to me is because when you're doing 2Ds, you basically have no limitation, right? You can break out of constraints, you can break out of the principles, you can bend the principles. We don't notice this stuff, but we feel this stuff, right? This is what we call squash and stretching, right? So obviously there's a couple frames where the body's gonna stretch and squash, come back and forth. This is just the part like where they're actually breaking the model of the character a bit just to enhance his abilities, his strengths, so to speak. But yeah, that kind of stuff where we're looking at how Wolverine is designed as well as moving through this, you know, that's the kind of stuff that they're trying to capture in this animation, which I think is really, really cool. You know, for somebody who does come from a 2D background and seeing how they're trying to keep true to kind of like the original NBC Wolverine, they're pushing it. Blocking animation, he's got his Berserker Barrage over here too. This is kind of cool because like he does this little step, but then coming in through here, you're getting like this breakup in the arm, which kind of feels a little odd to me. But either way, it looks like maybe just like a medium hit or just a small follow-up. This kind of feels like more of like a grab move. Oh boy, man, like the way that they're bending him, really twisting him, is showing me that they're doing their homework while pushing the limitations of the rig. I really wish I could see this without the effects too. But I really, really love stuff like this where they're pushing a pose for all it's worth. You know, they're really, really flexing and showing off like how boxed and how strong, how stable Wolverine is with a bunch of these movements, right? So this one's interesting. I don't know anything about this character. Interesting that they chose to do close-ups like this. Like this is kind of interesting, her pattern. I don't know if this is an intro or not. Maybe if there's more something like with the top of her head, like this is striking. The shoulder doesn't really appeal too much. But the way that she comes into this frame, this is hot butter, man. This is hot butter on a bald head too. Just the way that the arm is bending, moving the camera ever so slightly, but really utilizing that direction change, that rotation, the way that the arms are flowing as well as the recoil. They cheat, of course, because like within one frame, she's blasting off into space like Team Rocket. But yeah, she's got a lot of very cool extreme poses right here, like an Iron Cross pose through here, pretty symmetrical. Another knee attack too, pretty symmetrical here too. They're not skipping out on the hand poses as well. This is crazy. Yeah, like dude, this kick itself, I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody deliver a baseball pitch in Japan like this, which is nuts. But now it's a transition animation to where you're getting 10 frame holds on just this. Camera pulls out a little bit, and then we launch up to meet the character or the victim up in the air. First of all, the dynamic posing for this, I love, again, just like the Storm pose, instead of going from the left side, we're going for the right side, right? And if it's like vice versa, all the supers, they get mirrored, right? So when you're watching these and when you're animating these on your personal project, you need to be looking at them from both angles too. You know how they say one of the techniques to see a bad drawing is just looking at it through the mirror? That's also true with animation. And you'll find a lot more problems and bugs with it too if you look at it flip-flop, crossed up and crossed up. This is kind of interesting too. Like normally, look how they're doing this camera cut. They're not even pulling the camera back in, but they're almost like getting to her in a pose that fits this movement that she's doing, and they cut out of this giant establishing shot, which is really, really clever. You know, I wouldn't have thought about that too. And then of course, this is the interesting one. Like I've seen Tokon do this a bunch of times, and I'm really, really liking it because it's putting all the team into retrospect in a telephoto lens. And they're all doing the same animation, mind you. They're just like in different parts of Z-plane. And it's really, really clever that the way that they've got them on display. The only thing that I don't like about Tokon is it takes about 5 minutes for the character intros to get underway, you know, and to get into the game, which I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be skipping, by the way. But this, guys, oh, this is main character energy, right? With the hands in the foreground, feels so good. And notice they're not really animating too much. They're not really keeping alive too much. They're letting the effects do all the hard work. But brother, like how they're getting these fingers and these poses inside this frame. Oh man, this is that shit, right? This is that shit. This animation is so illegal on so many levels, it should be banned in 35 states. I gotta tell you, man, like the way that they're moving these guys through cameras and the way that they're getting up on these crash zooms to like emote special attacks too, is certified heat. Like I'm swear, my screen is on fire right now just touching this shit. Ow, yay. And they're like, again, class 101 for Marvel vs. Capcom. They're taking the lessons that we talked about earlier, right? The smears, the doublings, right? The double frames, like look, Logan grew like 10 arms that is attacking somebody. This is a Berserker Rage, and they're pushing that line of action, right? They're really, really getting in there and just making a spectacle of these close-up frames, dude. Like, shit, Aurora. Damn, HR needs to see this, brother. But yeah, Tokon is really bringing the goods, and I'm really excited for it. But I think like the big thing is like really thinking like the stylization, right? There's not many strong smear frames, only just with a couple of parts. There's a lot of exaggeration when it comes to posing, but there's holds on sharp key poses, right? So the animation quality can only be as clean as it can through the limitations that the game may provide. And knowing Arc Systems works, you know, like they're not heavy on motion blur. This game doesn't really have any of that. They don't have film grain. Like they have more of like a movie style look to things, but they have crisp visuals, right? Fighting games, combat, action, stylized combat, and they're just like they keep pushing this style forward when it comes to that 2D 3D hybrid that we all know and love. What I would like to see is just a little bit more variety and what they're doing with their camera work. Because right now I can kind of read between the lines of how they're starting and how they're finishing, right? The tilt cam, the change in direction. Same thing with Danger over here too. Like where was it at? Like here, like the tilt cam, the change in direction, you know, they have like a nice established shot, a swipe, like a close-up swipe, and then it goes on to the next attack too. And you start to see that kind of recycling animation happening, especially between all the characters, because that's what usually happens in fighting games or games in general. You have limitations, you have to work within those limitations. So I'm hoping the characters that come after this, we're going to have a little bit more breakup, a little bit more unique and dynamic flavor to these, and not kind of like rinse and repeat of the same attacks that we're noticing in order to make these characters unique. That was my spiel on Tokon. So if you guys like that, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate that. Help my channel get to 2,000 subscribers, guys. I don't understand it. There's other animators out there that have like 5 or 6 videos and they're already up to 10,000. Your boy out here is putting in work. I got about 100 videos. Please, I'm just asking for 2,000 subscribers. Please help me out. If not, that's totally cool too. I'll still keep spamming animation videos in your face, whether you like it or not. But again, this is Brad for Show. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace.